So I was 18 years old. I had been on my college campus for about 3 days. I was wheeling my drum set on a borrowed furniture dolly across the North Quad. I had to stop every 50 yards or so to like pile stuff back on top, fall off. I felt sort of silly. And at the time I looked kind of silly too. I was dressed in these like threadbare clothes that I just was stubbornly attached to as a high school student, and I kept that going to college where I just wanted to like wear this stuff out until it was like way past retirement. And I'm not sure, I remember I had this particular sweatshirt that was like my favorite nachos place at home. It was like a tent, didn't fit me well at all. And I just wore it into the ground. And I don't know what message I was telling to that world with these clothes exactly, but it was like a computer dork or like a hipster musician or like an avowed Midwesterner, which I definitely was. So I don't know, that was all fine. I was good with all that stuff. So, so I'm wheeling this stuff. I got to the back door of the student union and I met my new friend, Zach. So Zach I had just met the day before. He had posted in the mailroom at our college, there was a bandmates wanted poster, and I saw this and I started looking at it more closely, and sure enough it listed as influences these magical bands. I couldn't believe my eyes when I thought these were just the bands that existed in my head as the most wonderful things in the universe. Sure enough, this other guy had the same idea, and he had posted this in the mailroom. So sure enough, I grabbed that tab, and I called that number, and that turned out to be Zach. He invited me to a party right at that moment, which was wonderful. It was an off-campus party. He was a senior, and all these other people were seniors and cool people in the music scene, and I couldn't believe my luck. I got to this house. He told me look for the house with the terrible green paint job and like the wooden stairways going through all the exterior of the house. Found the house, and then I did get to meet Zach the first time. He was a short, furry guy from New Jersey. We hit it off right away. He was a lot of fun. Introduced me to all these fun people, and they were playing bocce ball. There was like a beer cooler. It was one of those that kind of day. I felt like I was just escaping orbit of this freshman dweebishness that you might get stuck in, and like, wow, this was just going to be so easy to make my way in this new environment. I was just excited. I couldn't believe my luck. And so we made a date to play together, and that was, back to the student union where he helped me load my stuff into this tiny elevator in this old building, not unlike this. And sure enough, there's a practice space up at the top of that building in the attic. And so we set up and played, and we were super compatible. It was just, we had a great time playing together. Zach was a great guitarist, and it fit well with the way I played drums, and we just started making plans, like, we're going to play some shows. We're not ready yet, but we're going to get there. And Zach, he was a senior, and had been around all these other established bands in town, so we had a leg up, right? We were going to be able to get out there. His connections would help a lot. He told me in particular about this band called the Vegan Eaters, who were established on campus, and they had sort of a legend around them. They played at the vegan food co-op where they make vegan food for each other all the time, and at that show they threw meat into the audience. So that was what they wanted to do with their artistic expression. I wasn't sure that's what I wanted to do, but playing shows was definitely on the menu. It sounded good to me, so I was ready for that. And with that goal in mind, kind of settled back into my first week of just being a normal college kid. Came back down from orbit a little bit and just ended up doing some of the goofy things you do as a college freshman, like walking around in a hairball of like 15 other college freshmen, going from the dorm to the dining hall or whatever it is. And I actually really liked all those people, though I did find it a little distasteful to be walking around this gigantic pack. There was something about it I didn't exactly love, even though I love the people. I guess it was the size of the group was a little odd and goofy, I thought. And then also those people didn't know about those 5 magical bands that were on that sheet. And so there was just a little bit of a disconnect culturally. We had a divide. And so, of course, I did the wrong thing and spent all my time trying to tell all these 15 people about these 5 bands, which probably just made things harder. But anyway, I felt like the best response to that was to get back with my guy Zach, right? Hang out with these cool senior, older musician people who are out there playing shows. And so we scheduled another time to play. I got up to that student union, attic and started pulling my stuff out of the closet where it was stored. But as I started doing that, I was actually got a little confused because I was taking inventory of all the little bits and pieces, and I realized there were some things missing from my drum kit. And I looked over at Zach, and he had this sort of uncomfortable look on his face. And so I asked him what was going on, and he said, well, you know, that band, the Vegan Eaters. I said, yeah, I remember you told me about them. And he said, well, they share this closet with us, right? I said, yeah, I remember you said that too. Well, their drummer has a habit of, you know, like, borrowing stuff. And so I said, so, I assume we'll bring it back, right? Yeah, I'll definitely ask him to bring it back. In a way that made me feel like there was very little chance that he would be able to do that. And so I said, well, what's his name? Because I want to be able to get a hold of him too and make sure I get my stuff back, right? Sorry, we can't play right now. This is not what I want to do. And so he said, it's Nate Cavalieri. I said, oh, yeah, I've just been on campus for a few days, but I did know that name. He was a very cool person on campus. He was in these bands. He was a meat thrower. He was a native New Yorker. He had his own little legend where he had gone to one of the early South by Southwest music festivals and stolen Kid Rock's distortion pedal off of the stage. And so I started to get this weird feeling where it was like my upbringing from this town that felt more and more like Mayberry every day compared to this guy from New York who lived out that terrible movie Kids in his upbringing. And I couldn't reconcile these two worlds coming together. It's like I maybe could see stealing stuff from Kid Rock, but like the fact that he's stealing stuff from me was just like not what I wanted to. It just didn't make any sense. And so I did go back and I pulled that wall phone off the wall of my dorm room and I called him, and he just said, "Oh no, I didn't steal anything, but if I see that stuff around, I will definitely let you know." And so I put down the phone, just very deflated, just feeling like this wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to get my stuff back. I just kind of resigned to that. And went back about my business, just kind of fell back into my freshman pack, and but I did feel a little worse for wear. There's just something about it that I felt really deflated by, and it was partly, it was Nate stealing the stuff. It was my friend Zach not being able to advocate for me, and it was like I wanted all those people out there playing bocce ball that day to just like rise up and say, "There's no way we can let this cool senior guy just like take advantage of this up and coming freshman kid he's going to be such a great addition to our community." And of course, that stuff didn't happen. And so in response, in my 18-year-old head, it felt like there was this establishment, and I had applied to be a member of this establishment and been rejected. And as I sort of fell back into my life with the freshmen and just doing that thing, I just kind of receded into the background a little bit. I just kind of lost my nerve. And I wish I could say that it was just like a week and I got my confidence back and started doing those things again, putting myself out there, or a month or a year even, but it really was, honestly, 4 years, like going through this whole process of not quite feeling like I could get out there in the world the way I needed to, before I eventually left that college and did. I felt like, okay, I can be bold again, reinvent myself, and be the person I want to be. Which is good. I played music a lot all of a sudden and did all the things I wanted to dress and get out with the people I wanted to be with. That was great, sort of the reinvention. But I just wish that I could go back and talk to my 18-year-old self and say there was no application committee. You were not rejected. This is all stuff that you constructed, and sure enough, you have a misconception that some things in life, especially the most useful things, the most exciting things, they're not going to be perfectly easy, and you're going to have setbacks, right? And you're going to have to fight through a few things. Maybe go wash dishes buy some new drum gear so that you can get back and play with your friends, right? So you can do the things that you want to do. Because then it's like a few months go by and you get booked at the vegan co-op and you get to invite your freshman hairball in so that they can experience the joy of having hamburger thrown at them in the name of artistic expression. Thank you.